Hey, you got the universal heartthrob, Austin Idol, right here, right now. And you know what? I want my pro wrestling back. Give me back my pro wrestling now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
For those who don't know, now you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, and it is me, your host, Jimmy Street, as always. And guys, hope you all are doing well out there today. I hope you all are doing awesome. I know we are. We've got a really cool show today. If you didn't already read it on the welcome mat there, we have the one and only Universal Heartthrob, the women's pet and men's regret, Austin Idol, on the show. What a huge honor this one is, guys. I mean, the brother helped create the biggest parts of wrestling. His runs in every territory were amazing, and he's still going at it today, and I can't wait to get him on. And I tell you what, we've got to thank our buddy Nick from Captain's Corner for this one. Obviously, Austin and Jerry the King Lawler, his old enemy, Dutch Mantell, Lord Humongous, our good buddy Jeff Van Camp, Tommy Lane, the Mountie, the Godwins. So many stars are going to be at GrappleCon 4 Back to Lutz, April 11th at the Residence Inn, Tampa Suncoast Parkway. So y'all make it out to that one more time, April 11th, GrappleCon 4, Gimmick Mania. All right, guys, to continue on, last episode, we had our always popular This Month in Wrestling History with Quinton Quarisma, episode 9. And Quinton was covering March, obviously. But man, that was a lot of fun. He covered a lot of WrestleMania, a lot of firsts. Ron Fuller buying the company, buying Southeastern. Lots of cool stories. Really just awesome episode as always, Q. We greatly appreciate that. Y'all stick around for episode 10 for next month in April. So y'all check that out. So, guys, on a sad note, we recently lost Dennis Condrey of the Midnight Express. I've always been a big fan of the Midnights. I know we all have on this show. One of the greatest heel tag teams, or just one of the greatest tag teams of all time. They paired so well with our favorite, the Rock and Roll Express. And I loved Stan and Bobby. I mean, Stan and Bobby were great Midnight Express, but something in my heart always held true to the Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton version. I know it wasn't the original version, but to me, it was as a child. So it was very cool. It's unfortunate. It's kind of bittersweet. Of course, we never could, unfortunately, get him on a show. But I got to say this, I contacted him several times, and his wife, Teresa Condrey, she might be one of the sweetest ladies I've ever had a conversation with in my life. And it was never a direct no. It was always, hey, maybe not now, but soon, hopefully. Maybe he'll feel like it in a little bit. And I was always respectful of that because, I want these guests. I don't want to run them off, Bugging guests to come on your show never makes sense to me. So I like that. But anyway, Teresa was so sweet. Our condolences go out to the Condrey family, his family and friends. Honestly, just thank you for your time in the business, and thank you for all the memories of the good wrestling you gave us, sir. And one thing, whenever somebody passes, it's natural to go look at their career and watch their stuff. And one thing that I have picked up on, especially young Dennis Condrey, I'm talking like Phil Hickerson tag team days, Dennis Condrey, I pick up a lot of Jeremiah Plunkett with him. And I'd always think of Plunky as more of a Anderson, but I see a lot of Dennis Condrey in Plunky, and I don't know if he knows that or meant to do that, or if that's just something that naturally comes out of him. But keep it up, Plunky. That's awesome. And highest compliment I can give is comparing you to Dennis Condrey. So anyway, rest in peace, Dennis, and thank you for everything you gave us. All right, guys, one more thing before we get to the one and only universal heartthrob. I got to put over my buddy, Pastor Rick Reynolds, and his ministry, the Gideon's Warriors. Of course, if you are a church, if you are a youth group, if you are a social, whatever kind of group, if you just want to hear some great stories, these guys are your people. So contact Pastor Rick Reynolds at ICW2009@hotmail.com, and you can book them for your church or social gathering today. I think you'll enjoy them, and they tell some great stories. I tell you, from wrestling, and then their testimony puts it over the top. So check them out. Rick Reynolds at ICW2009@hotmail.com. Contact them today. All right, guys, that's all I got for the open today. Quinton's joining me on the other side. We'll be right back with the one and only Universal Heartthrob on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling after these messages.
Hey, my name is Tammy Reynolds. I am the wife of Forsaken Rick Reynolds, that super cool guy that everybody knows and loves. And I represent West Side Sauces. I make sauces, I bottle them, I seal them, I sell them. I have a hot honey sauce, I have a sweet sauce, I have a hot sauce, I have a white sauce that's so yummy, you can use it on everything. They are absolutely amazing, and I'm so proud of them. We make them from scratch. So go on our website, westsidesauces.com, check out our products, read about our story, and go online and order you some of these yummy sauces. And Rick actually uses all of the sauces because he is a die-hard smoker and griller, and so he likes really good sauces and rubs, and I make them, so how convenient is that for him? Go on our website, westsidesauces.com, order you some samples, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy them. Thank you, guys. Be blessed.
Okay, all right. Quinton, this is the one and only Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol.
Oh, shut up. Shut up. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were on. Oh, we're on. Okay.
No.
Hey, Jimmy? Quinton?
Hey, how's it going?
Wow. Man, I'm in tall cotton, if we can just quote an old Southern type cliche.
Yeah.
I'm talking with Quinton now. We got Jimmy. What have I done to deserve this?
I don't know, sir, but it's amazing.
Why am I paying?
Oh, you paying? Hold on, you did it wrong.
Well, I'm paying for, I guess, some deeds, allegedly.
Sure. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So.
Right.
This is my co-host Quinton. My name is Jimmy. We're Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. This is a complete honor to talk to you today. Maybe one of the greatest guests we've ever had. So thank you. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy started because honestly,
Okay.
I don't want to miss a drop of this. All right, we are back with the most awesome guest you can have on a podcast. It is our amazing honor to welcome to you today the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol, to the show. Sir, thank you for coming on today. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's my pleasure, guys. I mean, I've heard so much about y'all. Now, hold on. No, wait a second. Now, have I heard? No, have I heard anything about? Wait a second. Hold on. No, I know I've heard something. I have definitely heard a lot about you guys, really, and some of it's actually been good. So, I mean, there you go. You know, it's kind of like my reputation.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I live under the bus.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're a good company. We're under the bus type people. That's how we roll and get rolled over.
Yes, exactly. That is how we roll. And another guy that rolls very similarly to this is our buddy Nick in Captain's Corner. And he's, of course, bringing you down to Lutz for GrappleCon 4, April 11th, Residence Inn, Tampa Suncoast Parkway. How long has it been since you've been to Lutz?
Oh my gosh. I mean, really, I can't even remember. It's been that far back. Because, you know, whatever grow up means. I hate using that word because it doesn't apply to me.
Right.
But I'll just use it. I'll use it anyway. I grew up in Tampa, Florida.
Sure.
So Tampa, Lutz is not too far from Tampa. But back then, Lutz was in, you went out there to go fishing.
Yeah.
Lakes, right? So you go fishing for bass or whatever the case may be. But there was nothing out there. I mean, nothing out there. Now, that was a long time ago. So if you wanted to make a little trip to Lutz, I mean, you had to pack your lunch. I mean, but so I haven't been to Lutz in, God, I can't remember.
Well, April 11th, you'll be back. And I know so many other great names are going to be there, and we'll get into that later. But we're going to start the show with our buddy Quinton and his first question. Go ahead, Q.
All right. This question I want to ask is I'm from the Middle Tennessee area, and I grew up the tail end of Goulas and the Jarrett's promotion. So did you ever work for Nick Goulas early in your career?
You know that story, Quinn, don't you?
Okay. Well, okay.
You're going to start off. You're going to. Well, this is perfect. Let's start off. Let's lie to Idol. Sure, why not? Lie to him. He won't know. He'll never figure it out. No, he's all got the shakes and everything, can barely walk, stand up. He's on a respirator. Yeah, just start off with a lie. You know, I worked for Nick Goulas and I starved to death. Starved to death for about 6 weeks. But it was it was an experience. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Yeah.
So what's your main memory of Nick?
Thief.
Oh, jeez.
Word association.
Sure.
Thief. Con artist. Scammer. Liar. Cheat. And those are the complimentary words.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a thief and a cheat and a liar. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was the whole package.
Well, it's not the first time we've heard some of those things about him. So
yeah. Surprise.
Yeah, Nick Goulas, oh, God. Nightmare Nick. The Nightmare Nick Goulas.
Oh, man.
It is now.
There goes our George
Nightmare
guest.
Nick. Nightmare Nick, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. He ain't stealing from nobody now.
Right. Fair enough.
all right.
Right.
So, well, I think this next question is better times probably for you. So, tell us about that first run up in New York for the WWF, and what's your memories of Vince Sr.?
First run, tremendous. I mean, it was tremendous. One of the greatest times in my career. I mean, it really was. It would be very difficult to beat that time. I mean, really, the talent there was just amazing. And plus, the Vince, they bring people in and out to wrestle whoever the champ, with Morales. Bruno was kind of in and out at the time. So Pedro Morales was the champ, but nevertheless, it was the roster. The roster, it was like a dream team. It really, really was. And it was fun. I mean, it was really, you traveled and by car mainly, you really did. So there was a lot of miles, but the roster was just amazing. And the whole locker room was just totally upbeat and fun. And I mean, you had a lot of pranksters. You had to really watch yourself because, Harry Fujiwara, Mr. Fuji, famous Fuji. Oh, famous river, probably got to be one of the biggest rivers of all time. And he got me. I got him a couple times too, but I mean, gosh, man, you think about the town. Plus I had Lou Albano as a manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it really is. Because when I got to New York, I mean, I got there, then that's whole nother story. But anyway, regardless, I mean, I got to New York and, I was just feeling my way around, and it was the first time I was really wrestled as a bad guy, a heel, so that was new. I mean, that was new to me, but I'd been around some very important people in the business in Charlotte and then in Australia, definitely Australia. That was like an amazing place. That's a total other story, which is insane, really. It really is. But, I think I was in New York maybe, 4 or 5 weeks. And Lou Albano, he came. We were in Philly. He came over. He says, "The old man wants to talk to you, Vince Sr." So I'm thinking, "Oh God, man, what have I done wrong?" But
and so I go over kind of like to the kind of on the side, where he was standing by himself, and it was winter. It was cold, and man, he looked like he was right out of. I mean, he was perfect. I mean, right out of GQ. Dressed to the nines. The silver hair was slicked back, and long coat and everything, overcoat. I mean, and he said to me, he said, "Hey, you know what? I just want to let you know, I really like what you're doing. You're working hard. I like your style, everything. I'm going to put you with Lou Albano. Let Lou manage you and start making you some money."
Wow.
That's
and
awesome.
And he did. Yeah, and he did. And that was his legend, really. When Vince said it, you could bank on it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to shake hands or anything. You could, if he said it, it was platinum plus. Yeah, and he did. And really, that's where I learned a tremendous amount from the University of Albano.
Wow.
Okay.
A
That's
lot.
awesome. That's awesome. You brought it up, and I want to hear something about it. Was Australia?
Yeah. Well,
What-
to me, I mean, it had to be the best place in the world to be wrestling. It
Yeah.
had to be.
Yeah.
It was a very small crew. It was really a very small crew, and you pretty much flew everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're talking 1972. Nowhere, no territories. Nobody was flying anywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Champion, I guess they'd fly the champ, wherever the champ was, but we flew everywhere. So it was like amazing. And plus, there was a time tunnel, time warp, time machine. The country, for me, it was like living in the 1800s, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it was very, very cool. I mean,
Yeah.
they had black and white TV. Nobody had air conditioning. Hotels did, but air conditioning, forget about it. Cost of living was nothing. I mean, cost of living was absolutely nothing. And Jim Barnett was a promoter, and he just treated it very classy guy, very classy. Mark Lewin, incredibly intelligent,
Yeah.
was the booker. So and it was a very tight family,
Yeah.
very, very tight family. Everybody was, everybody helped, especially me, because I asked questions, and you don't learn unless you ask, watch and ask, learn. And so I had these incredible minds around me. So I wanted to make sure I could get everything out of them, and they were absolutely willing to provide, information. So I mean, you had Mark Lewin, you had Gary Hart, the roster, gosh, man, Spiros Arion, the Golden Greek, Tiger Jeet Singh, and all these guys were over. I mean, they were all box office attractions, and they didn't just, and they would come in and out of Australia. Bulldog Brower, I mean, I know I'm leaving. King Curtis Iakea, for my money, was one of the best of all time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have you ever seen much of him?
A little bit. What about you, Q?
I've seen a little bit. There's not a lot of footage of him because nobody kept nothing back then. But yeah, I've seen a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Oh, listen. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, he was amazing.
Yeah.
But they were all so very, very talented. So it was a heck of a time. I mean, I was living high on the hog. Yeah, making $1,000 a week.
Oh,
1972.
Yeah.
72.
Man.
1,000 a week.
Wow.
Yeah, you're flying everywhere. Cost of living was nothing. So
Yeah.
1,000 a week. I mean, you're not going to spend that kind of money.
No.
As a matter of fact, I rented a penthouse on Bondi Beach, at the time most famous beach in the world, Bondi Beach, a penthouse, $400 a month.
Oh my gosh.
And and I'm making $4,000 a month.
Right. Can't give it away.
I never wanted to leave Australia. Really, my mind was made up. I said, God, I hope this lasts forever. I know it won't, but I hope it lasts forever. And eventually it didn't. Jim sold out, and then everything went Kaputski, Ivan Kaputski. But that's when I went from there to New York. So it still turned out good. But Australia was it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah. All right. Go.
Lucky kid. I was a lucky kid.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. That's awesome. I love that.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the Super Texan.
Super Texan. Yeah, Super Texan, 1974, I believe. Been to New York, left New York like an idiot, left New York. And no, I'm glad I did. I could have stayed forever. I had the opportunity to stay forever, but I didn't want to. It was a weather thing. It's just a whole thing. I said, now I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And went to Florida. Went back to Florida, Tampa, with no intention of wrestling. I would just want to take some time off, take a little time, saved a couple bucks, wanted to take some time off. But I walked into the office one day and Louis Tillett was there. Eddie Graham was not, but Louis was there. So I went up to say hi to Louis, and we're just talking. He says, "Hey, you want to wrestle some while you're here?" I said, "Gosh, Louis, you know what? I just want to take a little time off and kind of take a breather." He said, "Well, listen, we got a guy here by the name of Dusty Rhodes. He's hot. He's a bad guy. He's a heel. He's a bad guy, but he's over." Yeah. He said, what if we put you under a mask?" Because at the time I was about 275,
right,
maybe close to 300, power lifter. "Put you under a mask, and we'll call you the Super Texan." He says, we'll let you kind of be Dusty's protege. So let Dusty do the talking. I mean, which he could. He was great. But I was okay, too, because I just did a year at University of Alabama. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, I had it. I had it. But that's fine. Put the mask on me. Put a moose head on me. I'll dance on a hot plate. So I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Louis said, "You're going to make some money. You're going to make some money." I said, "Well, heck yeah, let's do it, Louis. Thank you very much."
Sign me up.
And I went around with Dusty. Yeah, I went around with Dusty. And Dusty did the talking, and I just kind of stood there, and I was kind of like, I think I was kind of I was running defense for Dusty between him and Joe LeDuc.
Oh.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. They had a thing, and Dusty used me to keep LeDuc away, and Dusty discovered me in Uvalde, Texas, pulling the plow.
Would that make you Super Texan with Dusty? Super.
Oh yeah, I was a super. Obviously, because he discovered me out. That was the thing that Dusty laid down. He said, "Yeah, I saw this guy in the middle of the field pulling the plow."
Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome. I love
Super
that.
Texan.
Yeah,
Super Texan, baby. Super Texan, yeah, baby.
I love it.
Yeah. That was Louis Tillet's idea. Smart guy.
Awesome. Yes. Yes.
So tell us about the other mask gimmick, Super A.
Well, yeah, there you go. I was kind of on a mask roll there. Yeah, so I left there because we did a thing where I think it was with Joe LeDuc, and it was a loser. No, yeah, I think if I lost, I think they're gonna they unmasked me. No, that's right. They unmasked me. They did unmask me, and then I think I lost a loser leave town to Joe LeDuc. And Ole Anderson, was it Ole Anderson? I'm not sure if it was Ole. I'm not sure if it was Ole who was booking in Atlanta at the time. Could have been, but I don't think it was. I don't remember who it was. But because I got over as a Super Texan. He said, "Well, to bring this guy up, we'll make him Super A. I'll be an Anderson brother, but under a hood." So it was perfect.
Yeah.
And the Andersons were on top. They were on top. Jim Barnett. That's right. Jim was in Atlanta.
Yep.
Jim Barnett. Yeah. So I don't know whose idea, if it was Jim's idea or whose idea it was. I don't know, but they brought me up, wore a mask, put the big A on it. And Ole and Gene, they were on top. I remember my first week in the territory. Really, I came in out of nowhere, Super A, and my first week around, my check was $1,200.
Wow!
It was great.
Yeah,
yeah. I was on a roll.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what happened, but it was.
Was that time period, was the war with Ann Gunkel already over by the time you got there?
Let me see. No, it wasn't. It wasn't over because they both ran, I believe, their TVs on Saturday, I believe, in Atlanta on different channels. I think that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's correct. So no, it was still going, and they were trying really hard, but we were. I mean, it was really interesting. I mean, obviously it was interesting. We had more talent. We did,
Yep.
But they had, they had Thunderbolt, who was an amazing. He was a big time draw. But anyway, he was with them. I can't remember all the people who were with him. I don't know, but I do know this: that Thunderbolt called me and asked me to come over. I said, and I liked him. We were friends from Charlotte. I said, I can't do it, T-Bolt. I can't do it. I said, I'm here. I got a good deal. I mean, I'm making money. I said, I just can't do it. I wish you all the luck in the world, success in the world, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
And eventually they folded.
Yeah. It's the right decision.
I think Tom Ernesto may have been the booker for them at the time, maybe.
Yeah, him and Jody Hamilton. I think Jody Hamilton might have been gone by then.
Okay.
I think it was just Ernesto still there at that time period.
Yeah.
Well, so where did the name Austin Idol come from?
Oh, God. You know what? From me, I'm not a complete buffoon.
It's a great name.
Jeez. Billy Corgan asked me that. We did a thing, a little thing. I don't know. It's been probably a year or two, whatever. And he asked me. He said, "Where did the name Austin Idol come from?" I said, "It came from me, Billy." Give me a freaking break. Yeah. Can you believe it? I actually have a brain that works. Yeah. So I mean, I thought of the name because I hadn't. I've been through the plane crash and weight loss and rehab. Get myself together again, blah, all that stuff. And I said, that's when I created this guy. Created the guy because my weight was way down. I was looking good, training and everything. Do the hair. Do some tights and everything, high boots, have the star cut out on the sides, kind of create that thing.
Yeah.
So I got an idea. So I got to come up with a name. So at the time, way back then, you never heard the name Austin, A-U-S-T-I. You never heard it. So I said, I like that name, Austin. Okay, Austin, great first name because it's not out there. I need a last name that is memorable and that I can do a lot of things with. And I thought, Idol. Austin Idol. It rolls off so smoothly. And then I thought about women's pet, men's regret. I like that tag. That's cool. One Caesar in Rome, one Caesar in wrestling. Oh, I like that one. So I'm thinking about this guy, the universal heartthrobs. Oh man, I can get some mileage out of this guy if he can work.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have to. Just give him a microphone.
Yeah.
Give him a mic. Turn him loose. Don't give him a script, for God's sakes. Just give him a mic. So, I came up with all that stuff,
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Took the figure four leg lock, which everybody had heard of, been around forever, and just changed the name, Las Vegas leg lock.
Yeah. Totally refreshed it. No, you were great at that, but the Austin Idol name is just it's just one of them top tier names, man. It's 4 syllables, Austin Idol. You can't beat that. It's perfect. Sorry, I know you just said all that, but it's just, I wanted to compound on that. So.
Yeah. It was good. It still works.
Yeah,
it still works. Yeah,
still drawing money, right? Works. That's awesome.
Well, I don't know. I'm drawing money out of the bank, yeah. Boom. Now I'll be in Lutz on a collection mission.
That's right.
That would be Reverend Idol then.
Yeah, Reverend Idol.
Reverend Idol will be passing it. Oh, I'll be passing it. Dump it in there. Come on, honey. Dump it in.
Come on.
Watch jewelry, credit cards, cash, Bitcoin, whatever. Cornmeal, just throw it in the bucket.
Yeah.
Reverend Idol.
I love it. Go ahead, Q.
All right. So in 1978, you were all over the place. In March, you were down in Dallas. What was your memories of working? You wasn't only there for like a few months. What was the memories of going into Dallas at that time period?
Not. It was a nightmare. It was a total nightmare. It was horrible. But that was the first place I had a chance to showcase what I knew who this guy was. It was the very beginning, and it was a nightmare. It was very unorganized. The locker room was like, oh God. And, I started in Tampa. And Tampa was a whole different animal. I mean, the way Eddie and Louie ran that business down there. I mean, it was a whole. You could have good times, but they ran that business like a business. They're like a business, and it was really very reputable in the state of Florida. Very, very reputable. It really was. I got the Texas, Dallas, a locker room. And I knew. I'm not saying it, but I knew. So I'm not going to be here long. This is not me. I mean, and I got along with, shake hands. Hey, how you doing, man? Whatever. And then I ended up getting screwed on a payoff. Yeah, I ended up getting screwed on a payoff. And Red Bastine. Oh, wait a minute now. No, Gary was there. Gary Hart was there when I got there. I don't think I can't remember if I ever went back to Dallas after that.
85 for like 2 shows in 85.
Okay, so I went back. Okay, well then it must have been. I guess it was that time, unless when I was there in 78 that Gary had a run-in or something. They got rid of Gary, but I do know that Red Bastine was the booker at this point in time. Whenever the heck it was, I was there. There was a double main event. The double main event is how it was booked and all that. Superstar Billy Graham, great guy. Ken Patera, great guy. They were in like a weightlifting contest thing. And then the other half of the main event was myself against the booker, Red Bastine, the double main. In the programs, how the promos were made, everything. It was a double main event. And because I was friends with Billy and friends with Patera, and they would pay you cash that night in Dallas, well, I asked, say, guy, because I wanted to make sure that I got what they got, and I knew they wouldn't care. And I never asked who made what, but in this instance, I did. I think that's the only time I ever asked somebody what they made. I'm pretty sure. So, and they both said we got 800. I said, okay, so what? I'm expecting 800.
Yeah.
Well, Red Bastine, who I wrestled, who was the booker, he was also paying off that night. I go in to get my, you sign your little slip of paper, they give you the money. I look down, the slip of paper is $400. I said, Red, that can't be right. It has to be a mistake. He says, no, $400. I said, you telling me you're going to give me $400 after that house, the double main event? I said, I'm guessing, I don't know. I'm guessing that Billy and Ken didn't get $400. He said, well, we weren't really in the main event. I said, wait a minute. We made promos in the programs, everything, and it was billed as a double main event. Now you're telling me we weren't in the main event? He said, well, we just did that for us. I said, well, stop right there. No. I said, I'll tell you what, give me another 400, which I knew that's what they got, but he didn't know I knew. Give me another 400 and we're all good. Well, I can't do that. I said, well, who can? He said, well, you have to talk to Fritz. Now, we didn't have cell phones at the time. I said, well, give me his number, because I didn't have it.
Yeah.
He gave me Fritz's number. There was a phone booth right outside the Sportatorium, and I knew right then what I was going to do. I go right to the phone to go, walk into my car, stop at the phone booth, call Fritz, probably about 10:30 at night. Hello. You're a real gruff guy, what an overbearing, obnoxious individual. I said, hey, Fritz, babyface. Fritz, I really apologize for calling this time of night, but there's been a mistake here at the building. What is it? I said, well, I got paid, Fritz, but I only got paid half of what I should have been paid. I got $400, and I know I should have got at least $800. You got what you got. I said, yeah, but Fritz, that's a mistake. That was a big house there. Now, I know I should be getting more than $400. Well, that's all you're going to get. So I knew then. I said, well, Fritz, I'm going to have to give you an ultimatum. Now, I'm sure no one had ever said that to Fritz Von Erich. I'm going to have to give you an ultimatum. What is it? I said, either you're going to pay me the rest of my money or I'm leaving here effective immediately. You'll never work again. Boom, and I hung up on him. Oh, I'm sure he didn't go back to sleep that night or damn near had a heart attack. You'll never work again. I got booked the next day in Portland, Oregon.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to ask you about. So, yes, you did end up going to Portland for Dono, and it was a couple of months. Did you like working up there? Again, you talked about the cold weather and stuff. Talk about Portland.
No, it wasn't. It was summertime, and they were having a brutal heat wave. No, I hated it. It was terrible. Yeah. It was the most unorganized place I'd ever been around. Honestly, I mean, it was horrible. And I knew, I said, well, you ain't going to last. you're not going to last here. These people are lost in space. They don't know what they're doing. The one guy, the brother's drunk all the time. Elton Owen, that was Don Owen's brother. He's a friggin' alky, big red bulbous nose, look like them Rudolph.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Always smoked a big cigar, right?
Oh, just disgusting and disgusting. And I didn't like the area really, because I'm not a mountain guy. I'm a Florida guy, flat. You can see out, see horizon. Here you're it's all trees and everything. They're beautiful, but it wasn't for me. But I knew I wasn't going to last. They didn't. They had a bunch of stooges, snitches. I mean, it was horrible.
You're the first person I've ever heard that worked Portland didn't like it. That I thought you just, I loved it. Everybody we asked, like, we loved it. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I was an organized person. I mean, I was very organized and detailed. Yeah. And plus, Dutch Savage was the booker. He was clueless. He was totally clueless. And remember, this is 78, so I'd already been on top.
Yeah.
Not as idol, but I'd already been on top in New York and Australia and Charlotte. Florida as Dusty's partner. So I was used to making money and people who knew what they were doing, and they were organized and detailed. And these people were totally, completely lost. I think why most people liked it, wrestlers, short trips.
Right.
Yeah.
I want the friggin' long money. You keep the short trips. I want the long money.
I love that.
Sorry about it. Yeah, we're into geometry here. Yeah,
that's great.
Had Lonnie Main passed away by the time you got up there?
Let me see. Lonnie. Oh, I loved him. God, I loved Lonnie Main, Moondog. I don't think so. I think Lonnie was still alive.
Okay.
I believe he was, but I never saw him. I never saw Lonnie Main, but he was a tremendous guy. Yeah, we were tight. We're all that going back to the New York run.
Yeah.
We're all like family.
Yeah.
There wasn't any backstabbing, any snitches, any stooges. No.
Yeah.
And really, everybody got along.
Do you have a good Lonnie Main story?
Right? Lonnie Main stories?
Yeah, you got a good one?
Well, I get, of course I have. Yeah, I've got a really good one. Do we have any filters here?
No, go for it, buddy. You're good. Yeah.
So I'm living in South Jersey at the time, and in the apartment complex is myself, my girlfriend at the time, brought her up from Florida, Lonnie Main, Fuji and Tanaka, Stan Stasiak. I mean, we had an very interesting apartment complex. Very interesting. So we're going to South Jersey, about 15 miles from downtown Philly, where the arena was. So I got set up, but I didn't know it. It was a Fuji thing. He said, "Hey, brother, why don't you ride with me and Tanaka? We go to the building together." And my girlfriend had just brought up. She hadn't been around very long. She's coming out of the country in Florida. So she was very nervous anyway about to see him, the big city thing and all that deal, right? And I said, "Listen, I'm going to ride with Fuji and Tanaka, but I'll be back as soon as the matches are over." "Oh, yeah? Okay." So we go do the thing in Philly, and when it's over, Fuji says, "Hey, listen, this is great, really cool, classy, like jazz bar right close to the building here." Says, let's just pop in there. We'll have a drink, and then I said, "Fuji, I got to get home now. Really, I got to get home." He said, "No problem, brother. No problem, brother." So we go in. It's Lonnie, myself, Tanaka, and Stan Stasiak. A pretty interesting crowd. Yeah, pretty interesting. Oh yeah, to say the least. Yeah. So we're at the bar, and it really was a very classy place. It really was upscale, and there was like a jazz band behind the bar on a platform, and they're just playing some cool jazz, nothing too crazy, but cool jazz. And Lonnie's sitting next to me, and I just happened to look over, and Lonnie's unzipping his pants. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And he took one of these like thin those little thin cigars, those little thin. It's got the little tip on it or whatever, the little wooden tip. But it's a real thin.
Yeah.
He takes the thing and shoves it in the end of his member.
Oh.
And he props it up. He stands up and props it up on the bar. And I'm looking at this, and he calls the bartender. He says, "Hey, barkeep, can you come here for a minute?" Well, the guy, he doesn't see it till he gets over there and says, "You got a light?" Well, man, you can't make that up.
No.
You can't make that up.
You've witnessed that. That's how you know that story. That's the only way you know that story.
You can't make it up, man. It won't work today.
Oh.
I don't know how it worked then because the boys, the guy knew the boys and everything, but everybody cracked up.
Yeah.
Everybody cracked up, and a follow up. So we get a table. We're all sitting around the table and having some beers. And now I know now I'm screwed. No matter what time I get home now, it doesn't make. I'm gonna have some explaining to do, but do the best you can, And so Stasiak won the belt that night in Philly from Pedro Morales. Stasiak's the new champion.
Man.
Stasiak is the new champion. He's the champ. And and he got hammered. He really, and he just won the belt. He really got hammered, and he was somehow he wore his upper teeth. He had a plate there, so false teeth, the whole thing, the whole gimmick.
Yeah,
like the mouth guard thing. But he had it. I don't know how. I really don't remember this part of it, but somehow or another, Fuji. Somebody had to get up to go to the bathroom. That's what it was, and I don't remember who it was. It could have been Tanaka, could have been Lonnie. It could have been Lonnie. I don't remember. But Stacey had the upper plate, so they got up to take a leak, and we had beers on the table, and whoever it was their beer was fairly full, like a beer, like a Stein, and Fuji says, "Brother, take your teeth out, put them in his beer." Put him in his beer. Stasiak pulls out of the top thing, and drops it in the guy's beer. It was either Tanaka or Lonnie, and I kind of thinking it may have been Tanaka.
Okay.
Fuji loved to rip that poor guy. I think it was Tanaka. I'm pretty sure it was. Tanaka goes to the bathroom. He comes back. Well, he doesn't notice anything. It's kind of a dimly lit, environment. He goes to drink his beer, and the teeth come tumbling down on his mouth. All this in the same night.
Oh my gosh!
Same night.
That's
same
funny.
Night. Stasiak got so hammered he passed out. He passed out on the floor and he just won the belt. There's your new champion. Yeah. Take a look at him. Oh,
that's awesome.
So you wrap up that year, you show up in Memphis, and you and Lawler start a program that ends in April '79 in a loser leave town cage match. What's your memory of that first run you had there in Memphis?
Well, they were all good. First run, I don't really even remember it. The first run, I mean, I come in. And on a Christmas night, which I hardly ever wrestled on a Thanksgiving, hardly ever really a few times on a Christmas night at the Mid-South, I'm wrestling Lawler. He's the champ. I think it was the Southern heavyweight belt, but that was their big significant belt. And I'm the newcomer. I think I'd been there maybe I'm guessing about 3 weeks, just kind of them feeding me to kind of get me over and let me cut my promos so that I do wrestle Lawler. Well, I win the belt. I mean, no one was expecting that.
No
one was expecting Lawler to lose the belt. So I ended up with the belt, which was a big deal. That was a really big deal. It really was for that territory at the time. And I ran with it as long as I could. I don't remember exactly why I left at the time, or I'm sure there was a good reason. I'm sure there's always a good reason. But all in all, it was 10 years in and out of Memphis. It was a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So when you left Memphis, you went down to Georgia, and you were there for like a year and a half. I mean, you worked everybody. They put every title on you during that time period. I mean, we could talk all night about the stuff, the angles, the people you worked down there. But is there any of your favorite memories of that time? Because you were down there for a long time.
Well, I I wrestled pretty much everybody. I think the only one I really never had like any kind of extended, like program with was like maybe Tony Atlas for whatever reason. But everybody else, whether it was Sullivan or Tommy, Rich, Little Thing was wrestling too.
Yeah.
Did the tag team thing for a little bit with Superstar. Gosh, man. It lasted. It lasted for a while. It sure did.
Yeah.
I believe I was the catalyst. I think I was the hot guy. So
Yeah.
They gave me people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So let me ask, this is a funny question. Did Fred Ward try to press charges or sue you over the check?
He did. They did. What they did was they filed a complaint. They filed a complaint. Now I knew this thing was going to get discovered. I knew it. Booking was going to find this thing.
Right.
Let him. I didn't care. I could care less. The guy was really a big league thief. Fred Ward. Nobody liked him because they knew you're going to come up on the short end of the stick on Wednesday night, but the rest of the towns were good, and Jim Barnett made the payoff, so it was okay,
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So he gives me this check, and I look at it. And, man, are you kidding me? That thing's legit. That's a legit check. So I put it it's a legit check. So I said, golly, man, what was he thinking? Well, he wasn't. So I put it, and I was just in for the night. And I flew back to Tampa, had the check, put the check away. And then it did eventually cash the check. So, and that's when I knew they're gonna find it, in bookkeeping. But what I didn't know, and it wouldn't have made any difference, that he was going to file a complaint. I thought he'd just write it off, but They filed the complaint. So I'm in Tampa. Matter of fact, we just moved in and bought a new house. And I'm in Tampa one night, and there's a knock on the door or doorbell. So anyway, I go to the door, and there's a deputy sheriff there in uniform, and I open the door, and I said, "Can I help you?" He says, "Are you Austin Idol?" So I said, "Well, is there a problem with concerning Austin Idol?" At Perry Mason trying to go put a legal hat on. He said, "Well, there's been a complaint filed against him." I said, "A complaint?" And see, I still haven't admitted I'm Austin Idol. And I said, "A complaint, huh?" I said, "What's the complaint about?" He said, "Well, he was given a check from a promoter in Columbus, Georgia, by the name of Fred Ward, and he cashed the check, which he shouldn't have, and the promoter wants his money back." And I said, "So he won a wrestling match in Columbus, Georgia?" He said, "That's yes." And he was given a check. Yes. Well, why would the promoter want the money back? I'm protecting the business, which I've always done.
Yes.
Really. I said, "Why would the promoter want the money back?" He said, "Well, he claims that the check should have never been cashed." I said, "Officer, that'd be just like you getting a check and cashing it, and now they want the money back. That makes no sense at all."
Yeah.
I said, "I've been in the wrestling business for a while." I said, "I've never heard of that. That's the first time I've ever heard of this."
Yeah.
He said, "Did you cash the check?" I said, "Of course I cashed the check. I won my match. I won that money. Of course I did." I said, "So I don't understand what the problem is." He said, "Well, it doesn't make any sense to me either, sir." I said, "Well, I said, maybe the guy's on medication or he's over medicated himself or something. I don't know." And that was the end of it.
Oh, man. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us about your run in Memphis with the CWA World Title. And I guess what are your thoughts about the looks of that belt?
Well, I've heard all kinds of stuff mixed and all that. I never paid it any attention.
Yeah.
I never paid any attention to it at all whatsoever. It's a belt. It's a wrestling belt. You know what I mean? It was a big belt, but
right.
I never thought anything about it. But I was the first one. They created that thing. That CWA World's Heavyweight Champion. They created that belt, and I was was I the first one? No, well, really. I claimed that I beat Terry Funk. I wanted to use a big name because you couldn't. Nobody knew it during the territory system.
Right.
You could say, "Well, I beat King Kong for it on top of a skyscraper in Manhattan." Well, we don't have any documentation.
Right.
Go with it. So I knocked off Terry Funk in the Sumo Palace. 23, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was a champion. So I was the first champion. So it was cool. It was very, very cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
You're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Captain's Corner is ready to turn up the heat as winter thaws and we get closer to the spring season. We are excited to welcome the legendary Haku for a public signing in the month of March at the big event in New York. Mail-in is accepted and we'll also have 8x10 photos and cards available. Then on Saturday, April 11th, the spring breakout event of the year takes place at the Residence Inn right outside Tampa. It's Glory Days Grapple Con 4, featuring Jerry the King Lawler, Dirty Dutch Mantel, The Mountie, Austin Idol, Nikita Koloff, and over 15 additional other stars. This is one event that's sure to thaw you out from the cold. Tickets available now at ticketstreet.com. Make sure to follow us at Captain's Corner Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook. Cheers to the working man.
After a hard day at the office, working up a big thirst, many professionals reach for the smooth taste of Mellow Yellow.
Woo, baby, Mellow Yellow, the taste that beats Mountain Dew.
And now, Mellow Yellow has pictures and all the facts on your favorite NWA wrestlers. Ric Flair, Sting, the Road Warriors,
And even my pretty face.
head to your favorite store and collect all 12.
Woo! Take it from Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Make the Mellow Yellow move.
So that's what I've always wanted to hear about, because I hear about, through the years, different stuff. Can you tell us about the incident with Billy Spears and Continental?
Weird, yeah. So I'm down there from where am I from here? Let me see. I've been to Georgia. Wait, yeah. I've been to Atlanta. Yeah, I had that TBS exposure, and I'm out of Atlanta. I'm living in Tampa, and I just bump into Louis Tillett, and just out somewhere, and he says, "What are you doing these days?" I said, "Well, I just finished up in Georgia. I'm not sure." He said, "Look, I just took the book up in Dothan, Alabama. Ron Fuller bought the territory. He's got Knoxville, and he's opening up this too." He said, "They just gave me the book." He said, "You want to come up there and wrestle with me?" I said, "God, Louis." And I'd always heard so many stories about Alabama, and there's no money. And I said, "Well, Louis, I like I knew about the beaches, though, Pensacola Beach. I knew about the Gulf up there." And I said, "Gosh, Louis, you can't make any money." He said, "Listen, I can probably get you a guarantee." I said, "Well, if I can get a guarantee I can live with, heck yeah, man."
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was back then. I don't know. It could have been maybe, it's probably around $800 a week, but you know what? It's better than nothing. And I knew the trips were short. I knew that. I knew the beaches were phenomenal. I knew that. So I thought, heck, man, yeah, let's go. Well, when I got up there, and I was totally an outcast and so was Louis. He was an outcast because the guys who were there at the time, not all of them, but a lot of them were, I'm not sure, they were uncomfortable that they were going to get moved out, bumped off, and this new regime was coming in, new talent, which that wasn't the case. So I just want to go in, work, wrestle, and make some money and do the best I can. And unbeknownst to me, we're going to Panama City Beach to wrestle one night, and I'm pulling up, and I think it was like it was a small place. It wasn't a big building. But you have to pull up behind the place, through a little alley. And as I'm pulling up, there's cops are standing out there. I'm thinking, I wonder what the heck this is about. And I pull up, and one of them says, "Are you Austin Idol?" I said, "Do I need legal representation? I'm playing." He said, No. He says, "But do you know who Billy Spears is?" I said, "Yeah, I know who he is." He said, "Well, we've got him in jail." I said, "What did he do?" He said, "He tried to hire one of our undercover people to do a real number on you." I said, "You gotta be kidding me, man." He said, "No, we've got him in jail. We've got him in jail." He said, "Here's a recording of the undercover guy when Billy Spears, the undercover guy was wired."
Yeah.
And Billy Spears says to the guy, he said, "Look, this is the kind of car he drives," which was the kind of car I was in. "This is how he'll be leaving here to go to Dothan, Alabama. This is the road. Run him off the road. Run him off the road. Take a baseball bat and just smash his face in."
Jeez.
Yeah. Can you imagine listening to that?
Man, no.
Can you imagine listening to that?
Jeez.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened to him. He was gone. They kept him in jail for a while or whatever the case may be, but then he was gone. I don't know if he ever resurfaced or not, but he was obviously intimidated that he's going to be run out of the territory, and he had no talent. I mean, honestly, he had no talent, just a bumpkin. He had no talent whatsoever.
Yeah.
He showed back up in Memphis in '86 for like 3 weeks, and then he disappeared again.
Yeah, I never saw him again.
Yeah.
I never saw him again. No, and I'm glad of that. Yeah, I would not have wanted to see him again for sure. Yeah,
No doubt. So, one of the great parts of your career that I've seen a lot about, read a lot about in the magazines and stuff was your time with the Sheik. And I do see that, right after Portland, it seems like you go to the Sheik. Do you got any good Sheik stories?
Well, first of all, let me. What happened is we already talked about Portland, so we know about that fiasco and debacle, and that's the good points of it. So I go back to Tampa. I don't have anything going on really. I'm just in hiatus, call it hiatus or whatever. But I get a call from Terry Funk, and Terry said, "Hey, would you like to go do some work for the Sheik in Detroit?" He said he's trying to rebuild his territory because he lost his television, so now he's on, which had a real powerful reach. So he's on a much weaker channel, and he's just trying to get it going again. So I said, "Yeah, absolutely, heck yeah." So anyway, I got booked up there in Detroit. So I go to Detroit, and really, I'm still starting new with this Austin Idol guy. I'm just really, it's brand new.
Yeah.
And Mark Lewin's doing the book. So I knew Mark from Australia. So that was a relationship that was strong. Terry, strong. And they had an all-star MVP. I mean, their roster was insane. I mean, because everybody was pitching in, trying to get that thing going again. And so I wasn't even using the Las Vegas leg lock at the time.
Oh
no, I had the first match they put me against. Oh gosh, it's on YouTube. I mean, you can find it.
Oh yeah,
something Dice. I think he's from Germany, whatever. And Mark Lewin said, "Okay, you do this thing. What do you use here to, in the event you win the match? What's your finishing?" I said, "Well, I don't really have one, Mark." He said, "What about that thing that Buddy Rogers used to do, where you take and everybody can pretty much relate to it, where you take your ball, kind of ball your fist up, and you let that middle finger protrude, like a screwdriver, and he says, just take it and screw it in his temple." Anybody's ever had that done, they know that's incredibly painful.
Yeah.
Just screw it in his temple. Screw it in his temple. He said, "We'll call it the, what did Mark had a name for it? I can't think of the name, the rack."
Mm-hmm.
"We'll call it the rack." I said, "That's fine." And so I used that. That was my little thing then at the Sheik. So anyway, I had a couple of TV matches and whatever the case may be. And you can't find this stuff because I've looked for it. Yeah. I mean, I've looked for it. You can't find it.
Wow.
I had some matches with the Sheik. They booked me with the Sheik, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sheik's a bad guy, and I'm a bad guy too. But anybody who's wrestling against the Sheik is not really. Now he's kind of a good guy in a sense,
Right.
and we just had this typical Sheik matches, out on the floor, and everything you can think of for weaponry, and blood's gushing everywhere. I'm just like, no hip tosses, no arm bars, no arm drags, none of that. Not even any body. It just mayhem matches. Yeah, but it was great. I mean, it really was great. The Sheik was the Sheik. I mean, one and only. And the roster, Jimmy, the roster, man. So let me think here. So you got the Sheik.
Yeah,
that's a good start.
Yeah,
Bobo Brazil, who was incredible.
Yeah,
and legendary, amazing, a big box office attraction. So you had Mark Lewin, big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Funk, Dory Funk. Let me see, Terry Funk, Dory, Bulldog Brower.
Mm.
Who else? I mean, it was like this thing was jacked.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm forgetting some people that were. Furpo was a big deal up there. Emperor Furpo, the mighty Igor.
Oh, yeah.
These guys were box office attractions, all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in there just as young idol. I'm young idol, but it was a great locker room to be around. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't there very long because when I got back home, they paid by check, and I got my check, and sure enough, it came back. The check bounced.
Yeah,
so I thought this was wrestling. I didn't know it was basketball. I thought this was wrestling, man. No, they switched sports on me, and I didn't know about it. No, we didn't tell you. No, it's basketball. Oh, okay. All right, thank you for the heads up. So I called. Of course, it was a clerical error, but they fixed it.
Oh,
they sent another one. They made it good. They made it good, and then asked me to come back again. So I said, "Well, yeah, I'll do it. Sure." Second check bounced, but they made it good. They made it good, and then after that, I wasn't up there that many times. After that, it was cash.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
But nevertheless, it was a great memory because young I was just starting off, and with a locker room like that, I mean, these guys are all, that's like an all-star team,
Seriously, that was a who's who, That's amazing.
Oh, man, it's like Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and all those people in the same dugout.
Yeah, yeah. And so on the next question I have for you here, sir, is going to jump a way far ahead here. So it's in 93 that you started up USA Wrestling in the old Continental Territory. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. I have a friend of mine. I know we're still friends. I don't know if he's alive or not because we've been out of touch for the longest time, and no bad blood or anything, but he was a big developer in Atlanta, and he had a condo in Destin, so he's coming down to Destin, and he invited me over to have dinner one night, and I did, and he said, "Hey, listen," because it was a short trip from Pensacola, where I was living, to Destin, like 40 or 50 miles, and beautiful there, beautiful. So he said, "Hey, listen, you're not doing nothing, maybe come back tomorrow and we'll just hang out on the beach," right? I said, "Yeah, that'd be cool." So we're just in a conversation, we're talking about wrestling, and I'm still pretty hot off TV through that entire area,
Yeah.
Really, I still had some great exposure. And I just said, "Hey, you know what? This area here is really ripe for someone to come in and start promoting." And he said, well, what would it take? I said, "Well, you got to have TV." I said, "I have connections with the television in Dothan, Alabama, I have connections." I said, "But, and with talent as well." I said, "But and I said, as far as putting a television together, that's no problem whatsoever. I mean, really, it's easy. I can do that. I can be up in the with the directors and the whole thing." I said, "There's no problem with that whatsoever." I said, "But the key is the television, and it has to be the right time slot. That's critical. It's critical." He said, well, I got a buddy that's a retired dentist, a root canal guy, and, you know, he retired early, made a ton of money. He said, let me see if he's interested. Well, he said, well, hey, the guy would like to get involved with this thing. He said, he'll go around and do TVs. He'll do TVs. He'll pick up TV in Birmingham and one in Montgomery, wherever, because that's where that territory was, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I said to him, to both of them, I said, look, guys, TV, the time slot's critical. Well, the other guy just couldn't understand that. And he did go out and get on TV. But I mean, like 2:00 in the morning or midnight, nobody's going to be watching. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to be watching. I told him that too. You know, I absolutely told him that, but he was just hell bent for leather. We're going to do it his way. It's their money. So, okay. So the talent that I recruited at the time, who were all just hanging out, really not doing anything. I had the Junkyard Dog.
Man.
Pretty big name. Drew a lot of money.
Huge name.
The dog drew a lot of money out of Louisiana. So I had the dog. I had the second Sheik, Khosrow Vaziri.
Yeah. Wow.
I had the Sheik who was living in Atlanta. I had him. Then I got a call from a guy who I didn't know from anywhere, but he wanted to work. His name was Dallas Page.
Oh, wow. He did something.
It's all true story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, come on in. Come on. There he was with all that curly hair and everything. And he wasn't even diming Dallas. This guy was just starting to go.
Yeah.
So I had him. I had myself. And I used I can't remember some of the other guys, but it was it was really a good team. It was very, very good team. Everybody knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knew what they knew how to wrestle. They knew how to draw money. They all had charisma. Dallas, even though he was young and not really, he didn't really have his thing together, but he still was very charismatic and very athletic. And he was a great guy too. He was a great guy. But these guys, they wouldn't listen. And so that it faltered, and it didn't take long. Right. It didn't take it long to go south because this guy's losing money. And when I told him this, I warned him. I mean, emphatically, if that's a word, emphatically, I warned him, you're going to lose money. Well, he did. He was losing about $10,000. Well, he claims, and I believe it. He was losing about $10,000 a week. So after 7-8 weeks, you're out. You're out. So that was the end of it. Unfortunately, because if he'd have gotten the TVs, we would have absolutely had something big.
Definitely. With those names and that time frame, it was kind of like ripe, and in that area, man, wow. I think,
man,
it takes a lot to put on a promotion. I have to understand. I have no idea. I have to understand that that's that way. But to know when you have things line up like that and it doesn't work out and you're sitting there saying, I told you so, that must have been frustrating. That must have been very frustrating.
Not really. Honestly, it wasn't because I knew. No, it wasn't frustrating to me because, I'm still getting paid too.
Sure.
But, I wasn't getting paid. I made sure not to get paid and have a pay cut because I had a piece of the action.
Yeah.
And I had a piece of the action. I'm part of the original guys,
Sure.
So I thought, if this thing flies, heck, I stand to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. Yeah, exactly. It's like someone saying, hey, we want to open up a neurological, whatever facility here in Greenville, South Carolina. Could you help us out? Do what? What do you want me to do? Does that got something to do with brains?
Yeah.
Chains? Oh, chain match.
It's a Russian brain match.
It's a Russian brain match. Yeah, it's a brainless match. Yeah. So they didn't get it. But
right.
But that's the thing. In life in general, if you don't try, nothing happens. And you have to, no matter how many times you might fail, you still have to keep going. You know about the big house in Birmingham, Alabama, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Listen. It was unbelievable. It was the story? You want to hear it?
Yes, I do. Of course.
So I'm just hanging out down in Pensacola, and I'm thinking about. Let me see now. Hold on. Yeah, this would have been after the debacle of the failed TV thing that we just talked about. After it, well, my buddy in Atlanta, he was still sold on doing something, and I said, "Listen, I tell you what. Here's something I believe we can pull off. You know, you're going to have to fight. Going to have to find people, though. You're going to have to find some backers. But we promote a big deal in Birmingham, Alabama, which is always the town. Well, between that and Dothan, but Birmingham was really a heck of a wrestling town. I was still hot in Birmingham for sure, and I said I can put together an all-star card that will blow everybody away. Because I've got the contacts and the relationships. It's going to take some money to do it. And I said, and it was my idea. I said, but here's the thing. I said, if we go to Birmingham and are successful, we could take this concept all around the country. Pick your town, pick your city, pick your market.
Yeah.
I said, we could do, because it was the timing was ripe. So he said, I have two friends. They build malls, mall builders, big people, real big ass people.
Yeah.
He said, come to Atlanta. We'll have dinner at the Coach and Four, real hoity-toity place.
Yeah.
And you know, Mephisto, Frankie Kane passed away, but Frankie lived in Fort Walton Beach, not too far from me. Frankie was very, very smart. Very, very, very smart. I called Frankie and told him about this situation. I said, Frankie, I'd love you to come on in on this thing. If the thing goes, you're in. We'll figure out the money end of it. But if it goes, so Frankie says, okay.
Yeah.
So we drive to Atlanta. And we meet them up at the Coach and Four. They got a big table, 10, 12 seats. This place is laid out. It's nice. And the only one I know is my buddy from Atlanta. So he introduces us to the mall builders, Lev and Zev from New York.
Okay.
Lev and Zev. Yeah. Heavy Levy. Zev was like, exactly, that was the nickname, Heavy Levy. Zev, good cop and bad cop. So Zev was the baby face, really nice and pleasant guy. Lev, Heavy Levy, but he was the ball buster.
Oh yeah,
he was, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then they brought in two other developers from St. Louis. Called their names were the Crow Brothers.
Okay.
So they've brought in, my buddy in Atlanta has brought in some really heavy hitters. I mean, there's a lot of money sitting at that table. A lot of money.
Yeah.
So everything's just really cordial and relaxed. So the waiter comes over, asks about drinking, and the Heavy Levy says, Dom Perignon, everybody just makes a finger in a circle, Dom Perignon all around.
Mm.
Well, I know I'm not going to drink anything because I got to have my faculties together. I have to make a presentation.
Right.
I got to make a presentation. So, everybody's just talking, blah, 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 blah. And then out of nowhere, purposely, they sat me across from the Heavy Levy. Out of nowhere, Heavy Levy says to me, so why should I give you $500,000? and that's verbatim. And immediately I responded, I said, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, I threw him off balance. Because he's expecting me to pitch, right?
Yeah, right.
But I reversed it. I said, you shouldn't. He ricocheted. And he looked at me like, what am I missing here? I build malls, you idiot. You're a low-life wrestler. You can't talk to me like that. Yeah. And I paused. I said, unless you really like what I'm getting ready to tell you about. He said, tell me more. And I told him, I said, look, I have all these contacts. We can start off in Birmingham, Alabama, and do this thing. I'm sure it will work. And if it does, and I believe it will, we could take this concept all around the country to every major market in the United States. It's never been done. which is true. It's never been done. It'll be different and will be extremely successful. And a lot of good things are going to come from it. We're going to end up on the TV somewhere.
Yeah.
So he said, I'll tell you, here the deal was, he said, you give me one successful night, Birmingham, and then tell me, outline the next 5 markets where you want to go to. I think it was 5 more markets. So I picked New York, I put Dallas, I put LA, big markets, where there's numbers are to draw from, right? And I had to lay all this stuff out. I mean, I had to get this thing together on paper for them. So the deal was made. We're going to go to Birmingham. They're putting up the money. They're putting up the money. It wasn't $500,000, but I'm sure it was expensive because my talent was expensive and everything else was. Yeah. And I went to Channel 6 TV. I have no TV. I got no TV. And I'm going in there. I had my guys, everybody, to send me tapes of them. So I had tapes of everybody that was highlighting, right?
Okay.
And I would go into Channel 6 there and sit down and edit the tapes. We'd edit the tapes to make into spots. Like I had a 60-second spot. It was like a montage of the talent, really upbeat and exciting, and it was electric. And then I do a 30-second spot. And then I'm doing the voiceover of these spots while you're seeing all this action and everything. I'm doing voiceover. They were excellent spots. They were really, really good spots. So we bought television, spots to air these and started slowly and then built it up into a crescendo, for that particular night of the event. And they had just built a new Coliseum there in Birmingham, the Jefferson County Coliseum, I believe it was. Well, Vince McMahon, he would run Birmingham every once in a while, but he would run in the old building downtown, Boutwell Auditorium, where Ron Fuller used to run.
Okay.
He wouldn't even go to the big building because he didn't feel like he could do business there.
Right.
So I was the first one that ever had wrestling there in that big building.
That is
first
awesome.
One.
That's
Crazy.
amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, first one. I blazed the trail for Vince. He never sent me any royalties either. But so I've got this lineup. I've got Abdullah the Butcher. I'm going to wrestle the Butcher. I have Abdullah the Butcher. I have the Road Warriors with Paul Ellering, Jerry the King Lawler,
yeah,
Stan Hansen. I can't even remember all the guys I had on this thing, but it was friggin' stacked. And most of them, Birmingham had only seen on television because they'd never come there before. Now, Lawler probably had been there a long, long time ago, but the King was still the King and still had a lot of exposure. So, and at the time, if you remember back during the New York days, it was, Cousin Junior and the big guy. What was his name? The hillbilly, not hillbilly Jim, but the
are you talking about
Junior
Plowboy Frazier? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, yeah, but what was his New York name?
Oh, Uncle Elmer.
So Elmer walked out. From what I heard, he walked out on a big payoff from the Garden or whatever, pay-per-view, whatever. He was unhappy. He walked out. So he's gone.
Okay.
Junior was gone. And when I heard they were gone, I said, this guy's still hot off the TV up there. I called him and got him to come in. So Elmer's on the card, Junior's on the card, and I'm promoting them in these spots, right? Because I had them taped and I had them in the spots. Linda McMahon, she gets my number and calls me. Linda called me and she said, hey, I'm going to file a cease and desist on you for using Uncle Elmer and Cousin Junior. I said, why would you do that? She said, because they're all their exposure and blah, blah, blah. I had a contract, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, are they still with you? She said, no. I said, well, then they're free agents. I can use them. She says, I'm telling you right now, you use them, I will file a cease and desist and shut you down. I said, thank you very much. Go for it. Well, the next day, I'm calling the newspaper. I'm on the TV channels. Hey, Linda McMahon from the WWE, whatever it was at the time, WWE, whatever. I said, she's going to file a cease and desist on us and try to shut us down. But little does she know, you can't do that in Alabama. You may get away with it in New York, but this is Bama, baby.
Right.
You can't do that. Oh, hell, man. It got more people excited about it. Says, she's not going to shut us down. Come on, Bubba.
Yeah.
Grab your beer, grab your shotgun. We're going to that daggum wrestling matches. Come on. Put the dog in the back of the truck. We'll take the dog in, too. Right?
Yes.
Well, it ended up, we drew 5,000 people.
Oh, man.
With no TV.
Yeah.
No TV.
Wow.
5,000. It was a talk of the wrestling world. How Jerry Jarrett now called me. He said, Idol. He called me. He said, Idol said, I don't know how you did it, but that is amazing. You drew 5,000 people with no TV. He said, would you be interested in being my booker? Yeah.
That's awesome.
I said, thank you, Jerry. But no, thank you.
Yeah.
But the finish was everybody was getting paid. They bring them in. Everybody's getting paid. The guys are happy. We got a big house out there.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't make any money, they saw that big crowd out there. You know, the mall builders, the backers, they're pumped.
Right.
So and I'm standing there, standing behind them while their guys are coming and getting their money. Well, you probably heard this, and it's a true story. You know, it's just, but Gary Hart and Abdullah Butcher were unhappy with the money that they were guaranteed, and they were getting paid exactly what the deal was. And I guess, I don't know, I didn't see it, but I guess maybe somebody maybe ripped it or tore Gary's blazer or whatever, maybe ripped. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. And they were very upset, and they wanted more money.
Mm.
Yeah, and one of the heavy levy said, well, how much do you want? He says, another $600 or $300 more a piece, 336. So I told, and he said, and he pulled a box cutter out.
No.
Yeah, he pulled a box cutter out. And when he did that, I knew, well, this is over. And I told Heavy Levy, I said, just give him my money. Give him my money. I wanted to kill the whole deal, right? So stop it.
Right.
So they paid him when they walked off. Next morning we had breakfast at the hotel. Said, awesome, you did a great job, blah, 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 great crowd and everything. He said, but we don't need that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different world.
We never went to say, well, when you pull a box cutter on somebody and they're paying you, it's typically that.
Right.
It leaves a sour taste in their mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Wow.
A big crowd.
Yeah.
I did my job. I worked on it for 3 months. It took me 3 months.
Yeah. That's such a great story. Thank you so much for that. Seriously.
You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome.
Because that's the deep stuff that we love on this show. You know what I mean? So that's so amazing. One thing that I'm actually very interested in is your Carolina adaptive golf. Can you tell me more about that?
It's amazing, Jimmy. I tell you, they sure found a space in my heart, and it happened on a fluky little thing, happenstance. I met the really nice person who's founded this and started it. Brandon Worley is his name. He's a former Army guy, and he's had some coming out of the Army. He had some issues to deal with. He'd been in Afghanistan, so you post-traumatic syndrome stuff, but and he was a golfer too. But he came up with this idea about how to introduce people who would more than likely never even take a crack at golf because of their disabilities.
Yeah.
Whether it was veterans, just can't really get it together maybe, or just having issues, which is understandable. And then people of all ages, whether it's kids or adults that have had maybe a limb amputated, a leg or an arm or whatever. And he created this, and he called it Carolina Adaptive Golf. And it gives everybody a chance to do something that normally they wouldn't have the opportunity to do, right?
Right.
And it gives them a challenge, and it includes them. It really is so inclusive. It includes them. Say, hey, you can do this, participate with us. We want you here. And it's unbelievable it really is amazing. I went out to Top Golf yesterday. I don't know when this is going to air, but I went out there yesterday, whatever day that was, and for the first time, and honestly, it blew me away. I mean, it blew me away. I took a lot of video, but one video I have not posted on social media yet. It really blew me away. I mean, it shows one young kid. I mean, I don't know how old he was. He could teens, maybe in his teens, could have been 20. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
But I was watching, and he was in a lift chair, and they strap him in. He's wheelchair bound.
Mm-hmm.
Get him out of the wheelchair, put him into this lift chair, and they strap him in, and the chair is like a hydraulic chair, and it lifts him up vertical like he would be standing, but there's no weight on his legs because he can't stand. And they put a golf ball down on the tee. This is like at a Top Golf. And yesterday was the first time I'd ever been in a Top Golf, and boy, it's amazing. But they put the golf ball on the tee, and whack, he hits the daggum thing right on the money. And I look at that, and I got it on video too. I looked at that thing, I said, my God, I haven't golfed so I couldn't hit that thing, and I can stand up, and I couldn't hit it like that.
Yeah.
And he hit two or three in a row. Whack, whack, whack. And you look at that, and it just blows you away. It just totally blows you away. I'll post it today. It blows you away, and I'm doing voice over it. I remember, and the only thing I could think of was just like, what's your excuse? I'm talking generically. So anybody who sees that, they'll resonate with, what's your excuse? You didn't feel like going to the gym today? Here's a guy who can't even stand up. And he's hitting a golf ball. He's in a hydraulic lift. And I said, so what's your excuse? You didn't go to the gym today? Or what's your excuse? You didn't maybe take a power walk today? What's your excuse? You didn't start, you lose some weight today? Kind of that thing so people can say, geez, man, I don't have any excuses. Not after seeing that.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't have any excuses. I'll post it today. I posted like a little precursor yesterday on social media, but I'll post it today. But it's a mind blower. So anyway, this thing happened. So I said to Brandon, I'm going to do whatever I can to help put more eyeballs on Carolina Adaptive Golf. I'm going to reach out to people. I know I still have a few people that actually like me or talk to me. Not many, but
come on.
It's declining by the second. But by the second, I said, but I'm going to do everything in my power to try to put more eyeballs on Carolina Adaptive Golf, and they have a website, and it's obviously they're funded. They're a 501 nonprofit, but the only way they survive is through funding. So the website says what you can do if you want to pitch in, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm telling you, it just really tore me apart. I mean, I had a feeling before, on my way there, I said, I'm probably going to really be emotional over this. It's probably going to jack me up and bring me down at the same time. And it did. It checked those boxes. So when I left, I said, well, you thought that you got what you thought you were going to get. So it was like, you can't, you have, I guess you have sympathy, but then you have more motivation. I think it's more motivation. My gosh, those people are so mentally strong, so much willpower, and they have such an incredible mindset of overcoming, adversity. I said, man, oh man. So when I left there, I said, man, it was an amazing experience. So I'll be working with them to help them. And you cut a nice little promo the other day, which I appreciated. You're doing this, but it's just great. It's a great organization. But this lift chair that I mentioned about, that lift chair costs $32,000.
Wow.
A lot of money. That equipment is very expensive.
Seriously.
It only comes when people, pitch in.
Yeah.
That's very expensive stuff. Very expensive stuff. So anyway, Carolina Adaptive Golf, I think .org. I don't know if you have. Do you have the link to their site?
I do right now, and it'll be in the show notes if you guys want to go to those and click on it. It's ucagnow.org. So go to that website and donate today. Help them out. Great cause. Thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you.
No, thank you for asking about it. Thank you, brother.
This has been an incredible honor. We could go on for days with you. Your career was so awesome. One more time, though, we just want to mention, of course, Captain's Corner, GrappleCon 4, Back to Lutz, April 11th at the Residence Inn, Tampa Suncoast Parkway, 2101 North Point Parkway, Lutz, Florida. You're going to be there. Your old buddy, Jerry Lawler, Dutch Mantell, so many great stars, Lord Humongous, Tommy Lane, the Mountie, the Godwins. Just tell them about Lutz, Austin, if you don't mind.
Well, I'm stoked about Lutz. I really am. I'm really, Lutz, fruits and suits, and I'm stoked about it. This is going to be a great event. It really is going to be a great event. I'm so looking forward to being there, seeing some folks that I haven't seen in a long time, and meeting some new people. Yeah, am I going to set up the old kissing booth thing for the girls? Yeah, but not the old ladies. Forget them. The ones that got all the mileage on them. With the thing is expired, the bumper to bumper, the warranty that's over.
Yeah,
they should go to the scrap pile, the scrap heap. Junk them, but. Yeah, I'm really pumped up about it. It's really going to be a blast, man. And listen, to this audience out there, anybody wants to get in on some of the Austin Idol merch, MERCH, short for merchandise, all you have to do is go to austinidol.bigcartel.com. And I've got a cool store set up in there, and it's got a bunch of great stuff in there. I really, really do. So you can probably just Google Austin Idol merchandise, and you'll find that. But I've got some really cool stuff in there that I believe you'll like and enjoy.
Yeah.
austinidol.bigcartel.com. One more time for those in Hawaii, Mr. Idol. That's austinidol.bigcartel.com.
You're the best. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us and sharing your story. Thank you, sir. It's been an honor.
Okay, you guys. Okay, yeah, look forward to meeting you guys. You guys were great, and I really appreciate it, okay?
Thank you, sir. Take care. Have a great day.
Yeah, y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You too.
All right, that was the one and only universal heartthrob, Austin Idol. We'll be right back to wrap things up after these messages on Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling.
CHW is continuing the legacy of historic professional wrestling in Tennessee with monthly events at the Armory in Ashland City. CHW owner Mike Green has made it his mission to present the best pro wrestling shows in the Nashville area, and he has been delivering the goods. CHW Wrestling combines all the elements that Tennessee wrestling fans have come to expect. Action, suspense, athleticism, reality, stories, surprises, and excitement, all delivered by the finest professional wrestlers this state has to offer. Follow CHW Pro Wrestling on Facebook for the latest news, announcements, and show dates. And subscribe to Championship Productions on YouTube to see past events like the Ashland City Rumble and the Valentine's Massacre. Fun for the whole family with delicious and affordable concessions on site. Witness the action and excitement of CHW in Ashland City at the Armory. Family Wars, Love and Hate, Championship Gold. A CHW event is everything you're looking for in a night of live entertainment.
All right, we're back, guys, and wow, man, did that deliver. Austin is super cool, okay? Let me tell you, the guy is cool as the other side of the pillow. And he told some great stories there, and I know there's so many more. Thank you so much for doing that for us and gracing you with your presence. I mean, I really like Austin. I think we've made a friend in the Universal Heartthrob, and I can't wait to talk to Austin again in the future, man. I mean, talking those stories about Fred Ward's check was hilarious. The Billy Spears deal where he basically hires an undercover cop to beat up Austin. We talked about that. I mean, we didn't get into the Gary Hart plane crash, which I know a lot of y'all are probably like, Jimmy didn't talk more about Gary Hart. But honestly, when we go with our questions, we like to ask the questions that haven't been asked a lot of times. We like to go into old interviews and see what they've answered a million times. And unfortunately, you know, the plane crash has been talked about quite a bit. So we decided not to go with that one, but we asked a lot more, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. Of course, we talked Memphis, and, you know, I was surprised he didn't enjoy Portland, but hey, it's not for everybody. It can't be, right? But thank you again, Austin Idol. You are awesome and a true legend, sir. Thank you. Once again, we have to thank our buddy Nick at Captain's Corner and the guys at GrappleCon 4, back to Lutz. Once again, Austin is going to be there with so many other stars, and that is April 11th, Residence Inn, Tampa Suncoast Parkway, and that's going to be at 2101 North Point Parkway, Lutz, Florida. Be there or be square and tell them Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling sent you. One more thing, y'all, and you've heard me talking week after week about this and kind of keeping the word out about this, but if you guys don't mind, keep Ben Jordan in your continued prayers. I know you guys have heard me say it week after week here, but he really needs them. We love you, Ben. You got this, brother. All right, guys, next episode, you know I can't spill that, but it's going to be a good one. Like I told you the previous week, and I promised you a big one, even though I didn't tell you about Austin Idol. I promised you a big one. And did I deliver? Okay. So you can start to trust me now. And since I delivered on last week, and I know we're going to deliver on next week, if you want to find out as soon as anybody else can, go to @GMBMPW on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. And guys, for those who already do, thank you for liking, sharing, following, all that, supporting. Means so much. But most importantly, thank you all for listening. All right, guys, that's all I got. So for the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol, the Territory Wrestling Guru Quinton, and myself, this has been Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. See y'all next time.
Don't forget.
Talk to this man, Austin Idol. It is becoming increasingly obvious that you are exactly what they say, a bounty hunter for Harley Race.
That's nothing but a bold-faced lie. I'm not a bounty hunter. I don't do anybody's dirty laundry. Like I told you before, I've had some real estate transactions with Race. I sold him one piece of property for 5 G's. I've got another piece of property. I told him I'd make him a great deal on it for a mere $10,000. He wants to sign it. He wants to buy the property. But it's high time that Austin Idol has got the attention of everybody here in Georgia. I've only got it from around the world now. Idolmania, Idolmania. Everywhere you go, you hear Idolmania. I am to wrestling what the sun is to all the planets. Everything revolves around the idol, just like all the planets revolve around the sun. And you better be aware of one thing. Austin Idol is serious. I mean business. And nobody will be deprived me of getting to the top by defeating a Harley Race for the world's title. I want that world's title just as bad as...
Let me ask you this. Tomorrow night, it's right in the open. A bounty match against Wrestling 2.
Look, Wrestling 2, I've already taken away this big, powerful knee. Now he can't give the knee. What are you going to do now, 2? He is going into this match at a disadvantage. I will beat 2 in the Omni, and then I will close the deal with Race for that piece of property. I'll get my 10 grand for the property. Wrestling 2, you don't have your big knee. What are you going to do now, 2? See you in the Omni.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
This has been a James Rock Street production.